we are asked to convert this equation to vertex form. So that means we want it to look like this. So to do that, we're first going to replace the f of x with y. And then we are going to make sure that we have x squared. So there's nothing in front of the x squared, so there's nothing to divide by. So we're going to go ahead and isolate the x terms. And then we're going to take our b value here, which is -2, and we're going to divide by 2, and then we're going to square that. And we're going to put a 1 on both sides. So now we have y plus 4. And so the reason we just did this here was so that now we can write it in factored form. And when we factor it, what multiplies to 1 and adds to -2, it's going to be our b value right here, the -1. So x minus 1 times x minus 1. And instead of writing it that way, we can write it as x minus 1 squared. And then we're going to subtract 4. And now we have it in vertex form. Alright, so first thing we have two choices. We can divide everything by 3 first, or we can subtract 4. So the problem here is we want x squared, and we have 3x squared. So either way, I'm going to go ahead and start with dividing everything by 3. Okay, now we need to isolate the x terms, so I'm going to subtract the 4/3. We can't combine these here because they are not like terms, so we just bring them down. And now we're going to complete the square. So we're going to take our b value, which is -6, divide by 2, and then we're going to take that value and square it. So we're going to put a 9 on both sides. So we're going to put 9 here and 9 here. So -4/3 plus 9 is 23/3. So the whole reason that we did this here was so now that we can factor it. So what multiplies to 9 and adds to -6, and it's always our b value here. So x minus 3 times x minus 3. But instead of writing it that way, instead, we're going to write it this way. And now we're going to get the y back to being by itself, so we're going to subtract 23/3. So now we have y over 3. And then we want to get rid of this 3. So we want to get rid of the fractions here. So we know to do that we would multiply everything by the common denominator, which is 3. So we're going to distribute a 3. And what happens here is when we multiply 3 by y over 3, these 3's are going to cancel, leaving us just the y. And then we're going to multiply the 3, and we're not going to distribute it or anything like that. So we're just going to write it in front. And then 3 times -23/3, so 3 times -23/3, the 3's would cancel out, leaving us just the -23. So now we have our vertex form.